I remember the first time I went to a UFC event. There's this very special moment just before the main card starts, where they put on the Who song. I think it's called Baba O'Reilly, and just a reel of highlights comes up on the screen. And this does, if you pay for the pay-per-view, you don't see this. You gotta be sitting on the arena and being there in the fight. And I remember seeing, like, it must be one of the most favorite moments for everyone who sees that reel. A guy goes running up on the fence and makes a sensational kick. Later, I think that kick was renamed like a Showtime kick. And I didn't know who that guy was. But I always was like, anda pa'l carajo, eso está cabrón. Preparing for this interview, I obviously watched some fights, prepared myself, and I have him sitting on my studio. Let's give a very warm welcome to Showtime, Anthony Pettis! And that kick, do you think that stuff up? Is it calculated like, okay, I'm going to run up the fence and kick Benson Henderson?
No, man. Honestly, that came from like taekwondo tournaments. I used to do like jump off the wall and break boards. Okay. Like as like a demonstration. And me and my little brother were just playing around sparring. I tried it. And I'm like, man, this probably could work. And in that fight, I mean, it just happened. You know, it was like one of those moments where, you know, body went on autopilot and it just happened.
Because if I see like a taekwondo exhibition and someone does that, it seems like a bullshit move.
Yeah.
Like something that, that's
that won't
not
work.
real. You actually did it.
And it worked. Yeah, it worked. That's how I won the fight too. Without that kick, I probably would have won that fight.
And you, that was in WEC, right?
WEC, that's how I won the belt.
Afterwards, you go into the UFC and beat him for the title.
Yeah.
And now you're facing him again. Benson Henderson.
Yep. December 15th.
How weird is it to fight someone in three different organizations? Has that happened before?
No, I think I'm the first guy because I box too. I just boxed Roy Jones Jr. So
I fucking know. I hate Roy Jones. So thank you.
I'm the first guy to do all of it. So karate, MMA, and boxing, man.
Okay.
You know.
And okay, so I was wondering, since you've faced Benson Henderson on three different organizations throughout more than a decade.
Yeah, bro, 10 years.
Does like a bonding happen?
Yeah, for sure, man. We're definitely friends. Like on my end, I'm sure he's probably pissed. I want to, I'll put him on the highlight reel of the Showtime kick.
Yeah.
But we see each other at like, different fights and stuff. It's just respectful. I keep the respect, and I think he respects what I do too. We've done this for a long time.
What about your relationship with Nate Diaz? You're doing something with Nate Diaz, right?
Yeah, so Nate Diaz is my special guest at my fight show. So next weekend in Milwaukee, I'm doing an APFC in my hometown, and Nate Diaz is a special guest. So yeah, we had our problems too. Me and Nate, we when I was the champ, he was always talking shit and like wanted to fight me. We fought. I think once you fight somebody, the respect's there, man. Like all the beef squashed, and he's coming out as a special guest. So.
How does that come about? Who called who?
His agent actually is a smart guy. He's a very making his own fight show as well. He does Real Fight Inc. So I knew his agent, and it kind of just came about through that. It was like, he wants me to fight on his fight card. So my next boxing fight will be on Nate Diaz's fight card in February. Really? Yeah. So he's boxing too. So he's the main. I'll be the co-main event.
Who?
I don't know who he's boxing yet. I don't know.
Definitely not Jake Paul.
Not Jake Paul. No, Jake Paul's fighting December 15th too.
Who?
He's fighting. I forget the guy's name. It's
maybe
boxer.
It's KSI. Maybe
it's a boxer. It's do you know his name? I forget the guy's name.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's like 10-1. He has like 7 knockouts. The guy he's fighting, like he's a legit boxer.
Got it. Okay, that's cool. Okay, well, you are here in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I follow you and I see you're staying. You're visiting. You're kayaking, still running, you're training. Obviously, you have a bout coming up, but there's something special happening. This is happening APFC tryouts, Anthony Pettis Fighting Championship tryouts, will be held here in Puerto Rico in the 24 Marketplace. They are our friends, sponsors.
Oh,
We
perfect.
have a very close relationship with them. Tell us more about. By the way, I saw in your last or maybe one interview with Ariel Helwani. Is it
Yeah.
November 11th your anniversary?
Yeah, it is.
I know my
One,
shit.
1 year, man.
Yeah, yeah.
1 year anniversary, man. 1 year anniversary. Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you, bro.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what's happening on November 11th?
So we're doing a fighter tryout. So we're just coming in. I'm gonna bring APFC to Puerto Rico. So I'm trying to see what kind of talent's out here. Hopefully we find some local guys that have some good talent that we could put them on the card. So I'm probably come back in February or March and do an actual fight show. But this one is we're just trying to find talent. So we're seeing the kind of talents here. Hopefully we get some guys that actually have some experience and we can get them on an APFC card.
I saw you were training last night or maybe the night before with a Combat 360.
Yeah, I was this morning.
Oh, this was
This
today.
morning. Yeah. I just got done sparring today.
You know, I took some jiu-jitsu there.
Oh, for real?
And I got my ass whooped. And mi pareja, my partner, she went with, like, we were like, we're gonna do something different. Let's train some jiu-jitsu. And even she was submitting me. I was tapping to her, and I got her pregnant. So I was like, we can't do this anymore because you're pregnant.
Oh, that's it.
Okay, so how does a tryout happen?
So we're gonna
is
have
this like the normal way to find talents?
No. Not a lot of shows do this. Like, I mean, my show is more of like the like what we're building is the show before the big show, like the college level of MMA. So we're looking for guys, and we're on UFC Fight Pass too. So I have a deal with UFC that my show is on Fight Pass, so everybody gets to watch like the local talent get built up to go to the big show. So this is our first time coming to Puerto Rico because I came 10 years ago with the UFC and we did a tryouts, and the UFC never, they couldn't do a show here. So now I'm gonna bring my show here and give these guys a chance to go to the UFC.
You know what? I've always thought that Puerto Rico is. I'm pretty into MMA, and I watch most of the UFC events, and
Yeah.
obviously the pay-per-views. And my thought process has always been like, there's a historical rivalry with Mexico. Mexico had 3 champs at the same time a couple of months ago. So where are we? Why aren't we there? So for sure you'll find some talent.
No, I just sparred today, and the guys I sparred today, I'm like, man, they're good. I think the thing about Puerto Rico is they didn't have jiu-jitsu yet.
Yeah.
But then Gordon Ryan came out here with his coach. They set up shop for like a year. So there's a lot of now the jiu-jitsu and wrestling is coming here because they already got the boxing and kickboxing.
Yeah.
But it's the the jiu-jitsu and wrestling part I think was lacking, and now it's here. So I'm excited to see what who shows up tomorrow and what kind of talent we see.
Okay, let's suppose this ain't happening, but let's suppose I want to go there. Should I just show up?
You just show up, yeah. So we're have everybody show up. Everybody's gonna get a chance to do a 1 round of striking and 1 round of jiu-jitsu. And based on that, we'll give them a score, and then after that, we'll give them a call and put them back on the fight show.
So the round of striking, it's sparring.
Pad work.
Oh,
So we're gonna have pad holders. I just want to see because we don't want no one to get hurt. We're not trying to have no one fight. No one we're just seeing like what talent level there is there. So pad work, and then jiu-jitsu will be with a partner. So you will roll with somebody.
And what do you look for when you see someone hitting the pads? What sort of
just the awareness of how to kick, how to punch, their level changes, like just mixed martial arts more, not just boxing. Because like in MMA, you got to do the kicks, the punch, the knees, the elbows. So just more of their how much what kind of skill set they have, like how much do they know?
Okay, so how do you get in? Because obviously most of the people you're gonna be seeing on the tryouts, I'm guessing, began as boxers because that's like one of the national pastimes here. So what's your story? How did you?
I started with Taekwondo. So my mom's Mexican and my dad's Puerto Rican. So my mom,
your dad's Puerto Rican.
My dad's Puerto Rican, yeah. So I'm half and half. I have half Mexican, half Puerto Rican.
Okay, so I read something. I don't know if this is bullshit, but
Yeah.
I read that Pettis is your granddad's hack into
He went to Wisconsin.
racism.
Yeah,
Because it was Pettis.
Pete Perez. It was Perez.
Perez
And then
and
they changed it to Pettis. He changed the R's to T's because he had to get work. So we grew up in Wisconsin. So like Wisconsin, there's actual big Hispanic community in Wisconsin. But I think it was 3 generations back. My dad's the one that changed it. So he changed the name to Pettis for work.
wow. So your blood is Perez.
Yeah,
So okay, so you started in doing
Taekwondo.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
so I started Taekwondo. Since I was 5 years old, and like my mom I had 2 brothers, so we all did Taekwondo growing up, and that's was our.
and does your
martial art.
stance reflect Taekwondo?
No, I boxed too. So I got like my instructor was he was a little kind of like MMA back then. Like before there was no mixed martial arts. Like MMA came in '93, and I was doing Taekwondo in 90s when I started.
Wow,
doing
you were a
Taekwondo.
baby.
Yeah, I started as a baby. Yeah, so I did it my whole life, and my instructor put boxing, kickboxing, everything into his program. So I kind of learned all of it as a kid. And that was my easy transition in mixed martial arts because I already had that experience.
I'm older than you, but I took some karate as a kid.
Yeah.
Goju.
Man, yeah.
Goju
I'm familiar.
Ryu.
Yeah.
My dad was even a black belt.
Dang.
He became a black belt. And I remember thinking that this was a thing. Like I remember instructors telling us to do this. And I'm making this up, but I think an instructor told me that this is like a razor blade.
Yeah.
This?
Man, I mean, he's something to throw with that. Shit.
But,
You take. Yeah.
MMA came to shut everyone up.
Yeah.
Because now a kid knows what works because they see it.
Yeah, no, mixed martial arts, it definitely evolved. So I see the kids now. I just did a show in Manchester. I had a kid that was 15 years old. Already had 50 fights at 15 years old. Yeah, and he was a beast, man. Like the skill level that's coming is gonna be crazy. Like these kids are doing wrestling as kids. They're boxing, doing kickboxing. So like when I started, it was like specialists. You would have a guy that's good at wrestling, but he sucked at striking, or he was really good at striking and didn't know jiu-jitsu. But now everybody's good at everything, man. So with
Who do you think is like super well rounded right now?
my little brother, man,
Okay.
he wrestled in high school, and he's a champ in Bellator right now. And he's one of when I train with him, he's probably one of the most well-rounded. Like all his martial arts are the same. Like me, I'm great striking, but then like wrestling isn't there. So like that was something but the newest thing I learned. But he wrestled in high school, so I would say
Are you the older brother?
I'm the middle brother. I have one more older brother that's older than me.
And was your big brother like a bully to you?
Nah, he was my dad was killed when I was 16. So I think like when my dad died, we all became really close. Like he was killed in a house robbery across the street from my house in Milwaukee. So,
Stabbed, right?
Yeah, stabbed. Yeah. So I think when that happened, it made us really close and like brought our bond like strong, man. Like even my little brother, like we very close because of that.
I was asking you because I always wonder what brings out a fighting spirit in a boy. And oftentimes it's a bigger bully brother.
Yes, sir.
That wasn't the case
Nah,
for you.
my brother was so good to me, bro. And even my younger brother, like we're very close. And I think for us, it was just like it was like a competition. Like fighting, like Taekwondo was like just we would try to beat who was better at it. And I think that was the bond that brought us close.
And was your bigger brother, did he pursue professional fighting?
He actually runs my gyms, so we own Taekwondo gyms as well in Milwaukee. So he runs the gyms for us. He still teaches and everything.
Okay. So when did you begin like thinking that you can become a professional fighter?
The reason why I started training mixed martial arts because I owned my own gym. I was 17 at the time, right after my dad died, and MMA became popular. And we were like, man, if we're gonna compete,
What year was this?
this is 2004, 2004 or five.
Like
Yeah.
Chuck Liddell was.
Yeah, he was the champ. Chuck was
Got
the
it.
champ. The UFC was just blowing up, and we knew like if we're gonna compete, like run our businesses, we had to teach mixed martial arts because everybody wants to learn this. It was so popular. So I was the younger brother, and I went to go learn jiu-jitsu, and I was like my coach Duke Rufus. I mean, the guy that changed my life. I signed up at his gym, and like in 3 months, I was already like one of the best guys on the team. And he was like, "Bro, you should fight." And I wasn't even trying to fight at that time, and I had my first fight. It was like 36 seconds. My first 3 fights were like under a minute, just quick knockouts. And knockouts, yeah, quick knockouts.
with kicking.
The first one was a high kick knockout, a punch. The second one was a punch knockout.
Okay.
And then the third one, the one that got me into the WEC was a knee. It was a knee knockout.
Wow. So like your first 3 performances as an
amateur
were like super
24 seconds, yeah.
varied.
Yeah, 30
Like
seconds. Yeah,
kicking,
quick,
kneeing, and punching.
and a punch knockout. Yeah, and then I got signed to the WEC, and then I did my career with the WEC. So I only had 3 months of MMA training when I signed with the WEC.
So your second discipline is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu.
And what?
Well, I got a black belt in kickboxing, taekwondo, capoeira, and then jiu-jitsu. So I have all those black belts.
Okay. Obvious question. What is the most killer discipline?
Jiu-jitsu.
How come?
It's just the most practical because, like you said, man, like if a girl knows jiu-jitsu or even my younger daughter, like she could tap me out and put me in a submission, you know, that this is technique. So yeah, jiu-jitsu is the most practical martial art, I would say.
Yeah, it's knowledge. Like,
yeah, you gotta.
And you know what? I used to when I think I'm a little more than a casual fan right now, but when I used to see fights, I hated to watch them rolling and floor stuff.
Yeah,
and once you roll once,
yeah,
you understand the pain that like a triangle or a rear naked, it's unbearable. Oh, diablo, I gotta ask you something. Diablo, cabrón. My favorite fighter is Charles Oliveira.
Oh, dang, yeah, he's beast.
You submitted him, right?
I submitted him, yeah, guillotine.
Tell me all about that. And what do you think about his performance afterwards?
Yeah, we fought at 145 pounds. So when I moved down a weight class, because the UFC was like, hey, I just lost the belt at 155, and that weight class was kind of just opened up. And they were like, all right, if you make that weight, we'll give you a title shot. And that was my first fight, was Oliveira at 145.
And they gave you a title shot for the featherweight?
Yep. I fought Max Holloway for the title, and I didn't make weight on that one, so I missed that one. And 145 was so hard to make because I walk around like 190 pounds, and cutting down 145 pounds was
so you were a huge 45.
Yeah, I was big. Yeah, okay. I mean, Oliveira was big too, man. He's a tall guy. So when we fought in Canada actually. I hurt him with the striking. You know, I had him knocked out. I remember he was already out, and I hit him again, and he woke up. And then the fight continued, and I was like, damn. And if I wouldn't have punched him, he would have been done. And I think that's why I got the submission, because I hurt him so much on the feet.
And I saw it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the submission happens in the third round, right?
Second round.
Yep. So in the first round, at the end, you were killing him.
Yeah, I had him knocked out. He was done.
So if you hit someone and watch him go out and hit him again and watch him come, do you really notice that, or is that?
Yeah,
in your
I did.
mind?
I was like, "Fuck, I messed up."
What happens? It's eye knowledge.
Usually, like you keep going until the ref pulls you off, and like I remember I dropped him and his eyes were like already like he was done, and then I hit him one more time and he woke back up and he started doing like pulling jiu-jitsu moves, and I'm like, shit, like I already had him done. So I think. If I could have went back, I would have recognized that. I would have hit him that one time and like probably low kicked him or something, just like let the ref know he was done. But yeah, he woke back up, and that's why we had to continue.
So he has this like magical aura about him that in a certain moment in time he stopped being a quitter, but he wasn't a quitter with you.
No, he came.
Like he got his ass whooped.
Yeah, he came.
So what do you think that changed there?
I think just time, man. Like some styles make fights too, and like the guys he's fighting, his jiu-jitsu is like very, very good. He has great jiu-jitsu, and I think because I was surprised how good his striking was. Like his kickboxing was pretty good, and before that he wasn't known as a striker. He was known as a submission martial artist. So I think just time and experience for him. I think because his jiu-jitsu is so strong, he can do like whatever he wants on the feet, and he's fine on the ground. So like he can put himself in bad positions, and he makes up for it with the jiu-jitsu. And I think guys, especially wrestlers, he's fighting a lot of wrestlers. Like the antidote for a wrestler is jiu-jitsu. Like if a guy gets on top of you and you have a good guard and triangles and arm bars, he's very busy off his back. So I think it's playing in his favor right now.
If he would have fought Islam Makhachev again, what would you have predicted?
He looked bad in that fight, honestly. I think the first fight that he wasn't himself, and it happens to fighters. Like once you become the champ or you become famous, you get more money, you get more attention. People are pulling you in all different directions, and I think that was kind of what was going on with him. He was like, you saw him with the gold chains, got his hair dyed, and all that. So I feel like
His eyes, he fixed his eyes.
So I feel like once that happens, you have more options instead of just training. Like you get more money, you get more attention, you get more sponsors, and it just pulls you away from actual fighting. So I think it was last camp, he was going hard. That's why he got cut. I think it would have been a different fight. But I think he could do a way better job than what he showed us.
What do you think? Like, let's talk about being a champ. You became champ very young, right?
23.
What changes when you become a champ?
Just the attention, bro. Like there's so much attention, especially like now, like with Instagram and social media. Like you get very famous very quick. And for me, like when I won my first belt, I only fought MMA for 3 years. So I was like, no one even knew who I was, and then boom, champ of the world. And on the Wheaties box, I was the first fighter on the Wheaties box.
What?
Yeah. So it was like it was a crazy time in my life, man. Where like you gotta adjust really, like timing, because the sponsors come and everybody wants you to go different places and different training places, and I think what you do is you lose like your focus on training, and I think that's what happened to me.
Cabrón, mira esto, cabrón. This must be a dream.
Oh man, it was crazy. Yeah, it was like I won the belt right onto the Wheaties box. Did the Ultimate Fighter show that year, so yeah, my stock went up crazy.
So okay, your road to the belt was your first fight in the UFC. Okay, you became champion in WEC.
Yeah.
And you become part of the UFC because the UFC buys WEC.
Yeah. They already owned it. So WEC was like the lower weight classes of the UFC, because UFC didn't have 125, 135, 145 division. They only had the 155 that was like the crossover. So when I won, I was supposed to fight the winner of Gray Maynard and Frankie Edgar, champion versus champion, but they fought to a draw. So they had a rematch, and they were like, "Yo, you're gonna have to wait for a year," and I was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna wait for a whole year to fight." So I fought Clay Guida, and he beat me in the UFC. That was my first loss in the UFC. Clay Guida just out wrestled me, just stayed on top of me the whole time.
Going into that fight, do you think are you convinced you're gonna win?
Oh man, yeah, every fight. Yeah, I think every fight I go to, I know I'm gonna win. I go with their most confidence ever.
What mistakes did you commit?
Wrestling? I didn't know wrestling back then, man. Like the level of wrestling in the UFC was way different than WEC. WEC had a lot of strikers, so like I was fighting a lot of guys that were just kickboxers or boxers, and I fought one wrestler, Shane Roller, but he wasn't as good as the UFC guys. So I think I didn't know the level of wrestling that was in the UFC.
And after him, you go to Joe Fauson.
Joe Lozon, yeah. Joe Lozon.
Lozon.
Yep.
Okay, that's an incredible kick as
high
well.
kick knockout.
So that's the Taekwondo discipline.
That one was more Muay Thai.
Really?
Muay Thai, yeah. Like I faked him with I switched stances. I went southpaw, and I faked him with our left hand, and he parried like this. And that's a no-no, because like this is wide open. So I faked him, and he did it again, and shot through the high kick, knockout.
Because to us, when we watch a fight, we don't understand like the minutia of the one who received the kick didn't see it. Mm-hmm. That's so strange speak to me. Like he didn't see it. So what makes a kick invisible?
Feints
no wind up.
Feints and fakes. Like you got to get him to bite on something. So like if you see a good striker, usually the guy who feints and fakes wins most of the time. Like you got to set it up with like head movement, level change, angles. And for him, I just threw that punch out there, and he tried to parry the punch and left the hole open. So like I did it again and threw the high kick behind it.
Okay, so that was an incredible win in the first round.
Yeah.
And afterwards, they give you Donald Cerrone. So you have fought Clay Guida. Donald Cerrone, which he's a Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah, Hall of Famer, yeah.
Nate Diaz. He will be a huge Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah. Wonderboy Thompson. He'll be
Wonderboy. You won that fight, right?
Knockout, yeah. Off the cage. That was a punch off the cage. I bounced off the cage.
Showtime.
Yeah, Showtime.
And so you never said no to any fights.
Never. No, and at 145, 155, 170, and then Roy Jones at 200 pounds. So I fought,
Of course, Roy Jones.
Yeah, I fought all
that
over
asshole.
the place.
You know our history with
Yeah,
Roy
of course,
Jones, Tito
of course.
Trinidad.
Yeah.
So do you think that has changed, like the say yes to it?
Yeah. Now there's
Why?
because now the fighters that are coming in are athletes. You know, these guys are like, it's not like the old school fighters. Like the old school fighters, we would fight, you know, anybody, anywhere, anytime. Now, like these guys are like, they run it like a business, and it's smarter. You know, like I've changed. You know, I still fight anybody I want, but you got to run it like a business because this is how we feed our family. So I think these younger fighters are understanding that part of it more. Like they're like, hey, if it doesn't make sense for me to take that risk. Like, why would I do that if I can wait and make more money later in my career?
Well, speaking about taking insane fights, I read that you were about to fight Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
In a certain, and what happened to that fight?
I got hurt, so I went out to Brazil, and I was it was actually for the press conference. So I trained with Phil Davis, another fighter, but I was rolling jiu-jitsu with him, and I put him in like a leg lock, and he was just too big, and he strained his leg and tore my knee. So yeah.
How many days before the fight?
That was like, it was weeks. It was probably like 8 weeks before the fight.
Got it. Okay. And who ended up fighting Jose Aldo?
I don't even know. I don't remember, honestly. Because my teammate was supposed to fight Jose Aldo. He got hurt, and then I took his spot.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure who fought him.
So, let's talk about boxing. Because you, in your first professional fight, you fought obviously an older Roy Jones,
sure.
but you beat him.
Yep.
And precisely in these days, we're talking a lot about MMA guys beating boxers. What did you think about Ngannou Fury?
Man, he looked amazing. No lie. Like Francis looked great.
Wasn't that surprising?
Yeah. Oh, he looked great. And you know, Tyson's the heavyweight champ, so like to see him doing that level. So Francis had a knee surgery right before that fight, so he was out. I had trained with him in Vegas, so he was out for.
You trained
with Francis. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he lives out in Vegas with me. So we both are at the same strength and conditioning coach. So he was out for a whole year, man, and his knee was bad. Like him and my little brother had the same knee surgery at the same time. And man, he probably only had like 3 months of actual training for that fight. You know, like real training, like because he was coming back from that knee injury. So like the fact that he did that off of a knee surgery is what was amazing to me, man. It's like crazy.
And what were you fighting? Were you watching the fight live?
Yeah.
And what did you think about the knockdown in the third
Man,
round?
everybody was like, "Holy shit, crazy, man!" Like that guy has power though. Like he's such a strong dude. Like I seen him spar before. Like he has power. Like his hands are strong.
Who spars with Francis Ngannou?
A lot of guys in Vegas, bro. There's a lot of boxers in Vegas too.
And I heard you train with boxing with Capetillo.
Capetillo, yep.
And are you willing to explore more boxing stuff?
Yeah, I'm boxing in February again. Yeah, so I'll have 3 boxing fights next year. Yep.
So you have boxing arrangements and MMA arrangements simultaneous.
I got 3 contracts. I got karate combat, what I'm doing in December. I got boxing in February and PFL for MMA.
And when do you sleep?
Right.
That sounds like a lot.
A lot. It's a lot. But my wife supports. I have a great wife, man. She helps me out big time. She lets me do all this and handle business.
And what do you enjoy the most?
I think MMA probably, just because it's the most realistic. MMA is like real fighting. You know, boxing, I think it's a sport, and if you're good at the set of rules, like you can, you know, win. Obviously, like Roy Jones, I knew I wasn't gonna knock him out, but I outpointed him. I knew like I could score more points in and out, move on him. So I think MMA is probably the realest form of martial arts, but you know, like karate too. Karate's like a sport. You know, like you're looking in and out, get your movements, and you know, score your points. And where MMA is like you're trying to knock somebody out, you're trying to finish them.
Do you? I've never fought, but I always think that mad fighter, if you get mad or hatred, maybe fuels you. Mm. Did you ever hate an opponent?
Nate Diaz, man. When I fought Nate Diaz,
really?
Yeah, and I let it. My emotions took over in the fight, and you know, I think I hit him with a low kick, and he checked it with his knee, and I broke my foot like right in the first round, right in the middle of the first round. And I told my coach, I'm like, man, like my foot's broke. He's like, yo, go out there and you know, stick and move and get into it. But my emotions were so tied to that fight because he talked shit before, and it was like, I was too emotional in that fight. Yeah, so I think when you fight with emotion, it takes away from your game plan, and it takes away.
So it's bad.
It's bad. Yeah, it's definitely bad.
I didn't know that you trained a little bit with Francis Ngannou, but I do know that you trained. I don't know if it's maybe it was like a coincidental thing in an UFC PI, but you trained with Hamzat.
Yeah. Yep.
How's that guy?
He's a monster, bro. That dude's the truth. Like, he's fucking good. Like, that's another well-rounded guy. Like, his wrestling, his striking, his boxing. Like, he wants it. Like, one of those guys that are just hungry. He's always in shape. Like, yeah, that dude's a monster. That dude's the truth.
What did you think about his fight against Usman?
Usman did good. Usman did good. I mean, I think Gilbert Melendez. Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns showed that he can get hurt. Like when he hit him with that punch, and I think Khamzat was fighting emotional in that fight too. But I think he will be a champion, man. That dude will be a champ. He's that good.
In 85.
Yeah, 185. I mean, he can't make 70 no more. He's just a big dude. I was surprised he was making 170 because I fought at 170. I fought Wonder Boy, and Wonder Boy was pretty big, but like this guy's way bigger than him.
And like if you're standing beside Hamzat or Ngannou, you being a fighter, what's the psychology like? Are you sizing everybody up?
No, I think it's weird because like most of us as fighters are pretty smart guys. A lot of these guys come from college wrestling backgrounds, and like they're pretty cool. There's not many guys in MMA that are like crazy. Besides the Diaz, Diaz is one of those crazy dudes. But most guys are very. I think we're smart guys. Like we chose to do this as a career, and we enjoy it. So I think we all respect each other.
When you leave the UFC, you become a free agent and eventually sign with the PFL.
Yep.
What's the system of the PFL? Like because
it's a tournament format.
Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, it's hard, man. I think PFL is probably the hardest format of mixed martial arts because if you win the tournament, you get the $1 million and then be the champion of that. But it's 1 year, so it's like a season. They're trying to make it where like the average fan can follow it. So like if you watch like football or basketball, it's like a season.
Yeah.
So it's the fights every 5 weeks. So you got 5 weeks in between your fights. There's 3 fights in the preseason, and depending on if you win, like you get points. So like if you just win by a decision, you get 3 points. If you finish in the first round, you get extra points. If you finish in the second round, you get extra points. And the top.
So you can become a shoo-in.
Yeah, you can become a shoo-in too. Yeah, so like you can be the no name.
What if at certain point where I don't know, we're in the quarterfinals, and I get I fuck up, I get injured, and I can't fight.
Yeah.
Who do you fight?
They have fill-ins. So there's 10 guys in the division, 10 guys in the whole thing, and like you have 2 preseason fights that you get points on. So like whoever has the most points after the first 2 fights goes to the playoffs. Then there's 1 round in the playoffs, and then the championship fight. But yeah, so if you get hurt, that was a hard thing. I fought with a broken hand that whole year because I broke my hand in the first fight, and if you pull out, your season's over. So my last 2 fights I had a broken hand. It was like.
So how does that work? Is it a secret?
Oh yeah, I don't tell anybody. Yeah, my coaches know. But that's about it.
Okay, I have a broken hand. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, don't tell anybody.
Wow, that's badass.
And you still fight with I fought with a broken hand. Yeah.
Okay, so you have a fight coming up, Benson Henderson.
Yep.
So wait, we were talking about you get Clay Guida, Joe Lozan, Cowboy Cerrone, and all of a sudden you re-encounter with your ex-foe of the WEC, now champion of the lightweight division, the most competitive division in people who knows opinion, and you're gonna fight again. How does that work? Like
that was
your
crazy.
mind?
Yeah, that happened because like so I was gonna fight Jose Aldo and I got hurt, and Ben Henderson was supposed to fight a white boy from Canada. I forget his name, but he got hurt. He got like concussions and he had to pull out the fight. So that's how it lined me up. So I was supposed to fight Jose Aldo. I hurt my knee. I took 2 months off, got back in the training camp, and I was trying to go back to 155, and it was in my hometown already. Like it was already set that
Milwaukee, right?
Yeah, Milwaukee. Okay. Yeah, Ben Henderson was fighting TJ Grant. That was his name. TJ Grant was supposed to fight Ben Henderson, but TJ Grant got a concussion and he had to pull out and put me in there, man. So it was like God's plan, bro. It was like perfect setup in my hometown against Ben Henderson again. It was crazy.
So it was a stroke of good luck.
I must have did something good in my past life for real, because it was like perfect setup.
And like, are you? I know that I asked you before the Clay Guida, but what's your mindset before any fight, even the Roy Jones fight? Are you like, does a strategy, like, are you willing to follow a strategy, or does it all go to the shit when
No,
the
I
first
follow a
pump?
strategy. Yeah, I think my coaches, bro, like Capatillo, helped me big time with that. Roy Jones fought Mike Tyson before me, and I'm like, if Mike Tyson didn't knock him out, I'm a way smaller guy. Like, the game plan for him was, what we did: score by points, take the angles in and out, don't let him land any big shots, and it was a perfect game plan for him.
You were speaking about another fighter who got concussed, but I heard a story about you getting concussed and puking.
Yeah, Serge, my little brother.
What happened?
Sparring before. I was actually fighting. I forget who I was fighting, but on Mondays we usually box in my gym in Milwaukee. And me and Serge were both getting ready for my little brother getting ready for fights, and I just walked into a punch, like a perfect setup punch, And I never felt, even in all my fights, I've never got rocked where I was like, oh man, it was bad. Like he hit me and I fell, and I was like, whoa, like he just hit the button, hit me right, and I didn't realize how bad I was hurt. Like I finished the round. I went to my next
Did you
practice.
get up instantly?
Yeah, I got up instantly. Yeah, like, I hit and I was like, whoa, that wasn't good, but I was okay. But then I went to strength and conditioning, and we're doing like just jumping, like broad jumps. I remember I was like, man, my head doesn't feel right, and it felt like I was in a dream. Like everything was like, it was hazy. It was like a dream. Like, if I looked at my phone, I would get like sick. So yeah, it was like it got pretty bad.
Did you know that you were concussed?
I didn't know. Nah, I didn't
What do you
know.
think
I went
was
to
going on?
I thought it was the weight cut. I was like, man, I'm cutting weight, so I must be like, weak and like fragile because of the weight cut. But then I went to the UFC PI. They did a concussion test, and yeah, I was concussed, man. I remember I was on the plane from Milwaukee to Vegas, and I started crying, and I was like, what the? I don't even cry. Like, my dad died. It's the only time I cried, and like I was on the plane crying, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, something's weird. But that's like it goes into your emotions. Like you don't have no control of your emotions. You don't have control of like. It just feels like you're in a dream. It's a crazy feeling, man. So it's scary.
No, and crying, like, I I'm an '80s kid,
Yeah,
so crying, or maybe it's a Latino culture that los hombres no lloran.
for sure.
Crying is
Yeah,
for the girls,
yeah.
and I still have that somewhere deep inside. But for sporting events, it's allowed, at least in my mind. When I see a even in the walkout, a fighter that's so fucking
Amped up.
amped, that's crying, I love that.
Yeah.
But they're gonna be true men. So in my mind, that's like
Same,
that's
my
why I
pops.
love it. It's the bravest. No one.
Yeah, bro. You're in front of the world. Whatever happens is out of your control, man. Like it's a crazy feeling to go out there and do that.
What's like the craziest thing that's ever happened, or like the most dangerous, or maybe scariest situation you've ever been in?
Man, when I tore my elbow, actually, I got an elbow surgery. I was wrestling, and I had both double underhooks, and a guy lateral tosses me, and my elbow like all the way back, all the way down. But it was like so close to my nerve where I almost couldn't make a fist again. They were like, "Yo, if it was like a little bit more, you wouldn't be able to fight ever again." And this happened like in 2006. So yeah, it was right after I lost the belt to Rafael Dos Anjos. I was in a training camp, and boom. So it was like a centimeter away from me not even being able to make a fist, and I wouldn't be
You
able to fight
thought
again.
it was all
Yeah, I
over.
thought it was all over. Yeah, I went to Vegas. Dana White was there. We did the surgery in L.A. We flew me out to L.A. for the surgery, and the doctor was like, "Yo, there's a chance that you might not be able to make a fist again because it almost hit the nerve." Yeah, so that was probably the scariest.
Karate chops, bro.
Right? Yeah, that's right.
And are you friends? Are you cool with the UFC?
Oh man, so cool. Yeah, Dana's a good friend of mine. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, really good friend of mine. He showed me how to play blackjack. We even play blackjack all the time.
Isn't he like
he's a-
banned from?
He's a killer in blackjack, bro. That dude, he knows how to play.
Okay. Are you a big gambler?
I am. Yeah, I do well too.
What do you like sports gambling?
I do it all. Sports
What's
gambling,
your
blackjack.
gambling
My last
favorite?
my biggest win I just hit was my little brother. His last fight. I put like 75,000 on him, and he was a two to one underdog. So it was $150,000 payday.
Can you describe what does watching a fight whose outcome can get you down
Yeah.
$75,000.
Yeah.
What's that like?
That's scarier than fighting. Swear, I'm in there like, it's out of my control. I'm like, please win. Yeah, so
Okay.
it makes it. I mean, for me, I like that. You know, I like sweating on these games, and like that's how I live my life. So
Can you tell the story about you helping your brother out in an interview on a telephone? He was
That's
too
funny.
drunk and
now it was one of his first UFC interviews, and we were there for International Fight Week, and he just got signed, and we went out the night before, and he's like, man, I got to do this interview. I don't feel good. I'm like, yo, I got you. So I did the interview for him. I was just talking mad shit to like all this weight class and everybody. Yeah, it's funny.
okay. Did you call up someone out?
I called the whole weight class out, bro. I was like the whole weight class is. I put everybody on notice. Yeah, it was
Okay,
funny.
that's cool. That's very cool. Okay, so let's talk about what's happening this actually tomorrow. Tomorrow, November 11th, in el 24 Marketplace, a tryout. What do you recommend if athlete X is going to the tryout tomorrow? What should he look out for? What are you looking out for? Who's watching?
I'm bringing in a couple of agents from my side in Milwaukee just to see what kind of talent's out here. But basically, what I'm looking for is just guys that want to do this because I want to bring mixed martial arts here and make hopefully I could do 3 or 4 fight shows a year here and we can have a culture of mixed martial arts because you said, man, there's so many good fighters that come from here that don't have a chance to go to the big show. So I think by me bringing this APFC here, it's on Fight Pass. It's everybody who matters is watching those shows. So I think it's gonna give these guys an opportunity to go to the big show. So I mean, if you're an athlete, just show up. Basically, man, come show up and get your name put on the list and we'll go from there.
Déjame ver qué yo tengo aquí. There's a space in I don't know if you've been, maybe these guys can help me. In the 24 Marketplace, will it be like where they used to make events in the va a ser en la parte de atrás in the warehouse behind they have made events. It's a great space. Just go there and show us what's
skills
your
you got.
expertise, your
The
kicking,
guys
your
I
fighting.
sparred with today, man, I was impressed. Like how good they're. We did kickboxing today, and man, I was like, 2 of them were Taekwondo guys. And I'm like, man, that Taekwondo is probably the most flashiest martial art there is, and if you could put that with kickboxing, that's how I made my career. With that. So I'm excited to see what talent comes out.
How can I watch the Benson Henderson fight?
I don't even know. Actually, YouTube. Yeah, it's gonna be on YouTube.
Free?
Karate. Yeah, free. Karate Combat. Yeah. So Karate Combat's this is a crypto company, but it's called Karate Coin, and their events is the karate tournament they're putting on. But they're spending a lot of money and blowing this thing up. So
you are still in the PFL.
I'm still with PFL,
and they let you do all this stuff.
I did my own contract. So yeah, I did it. So as long as I don't do mixed martial arts, I'm good. So PFL's mixed martial arts. I can box and I can do karate.
So when Francis and if I'm touching like weird,
no,
if I'm crossing any line, just let me know.
Francis
when
as well.
Francis Ngannou stepped out and became a free agent, did you suspect that he would end up with the PFL?
1,000,000%. Yeah, I already knew.
So this didn't surprise you
Not
at all.
They're spending a lot of money, bro. Like, and I think these fighters that are, even like local guys, like they're so obsessed with the UFC, but the UFC's business is their business is the reason why it is because how they can handle their business. Like if you sign with the UFC, you are not allowed to do anything else. You can't do boxing. You can't do kickboxing.
Only grappling, I think.
Only grappling, yes. Only jiu-jitsu. And you also got to get permission for that too now. And usually it's on UFC Fight Pass. But PFL was allowing us, to do basically whatever we wanted to do as long as MMA was with PFL. So like I was the first guy to go over to the PFL. They paid me a great contract, but I knew how much money they were spending, and I was like, they just bought Bellator, so Bellator just got purchased by the PFL. Yep. So they're gonna run Bellator 2 more years, and then it's gonna combine part of the PFL.
And do you get paid more? Obviously, championship level in the UFC, I suspect it's a lot of money, but like not really.
And it's good money. I get paid more than all the UFC champs.
Because if you're betting 75,000,
yeah,
you're well off.
Yeah,
but
I did well.
If you get more opportunities to fight per year in the PFL in the tournament system, and you get paid better per fight, it's a lot more. It's a big money difference.
My contract with the PFL is a guaranteed purse. So when I show up and I weigh in, I get a check no matter what. Where like UFC, it's you get one check to show up and one check to win. It's like a win bonus. So like some guys, if you go to the UFC and you don't negotiate right, you only leave with one check. It's a different lifestyle than
you and your team are fucked.
fucked.
And obviously the theory behind that is to make winning more desirable. Is that true?
I mean, it definitely is. If as a fighter, if I win 2 checks, it's a different lifestyle than one check. But I think it's because they were there first. Like now that hopefully fighters understand that, like it's a negotiation. Like you can go in there and negotiate your own contract. You can, like for me, I want a guaranteed flat rate when I show up. If I'm doing these training camps and I'm putting my body through all this training, I need to make sure like it's guaranteed. Not I gotta win a fight. I gotta do a special kick to get a bonus. Like that. I was over that part.
Okay. Now that we're talking about other companies, let's talk about BKFC. Your past foe, Eddie Alvarez, is gonna be fighting Mike Perry. I love Mike Perry.
Me too, bro. That dude's a monster.
He's so funny, and I love to see him fight. What do you think will go down?
Man, Eddie's actually good boxing too, bro. Like he has good hands. Like I think
it was an incredible fight against Chad
Mendes. And Mendes is a wrestler, but Eddie has good hands. I think we'll be surprised how good Eddie does in that fight. Because I mean, Mike has the power, he has the punches, but I think as far as well-roundedness, like Eddie has better boxing than Mike. I think.
Did you see the
square offs, the face offs?
The square off yesterday.
That company's paying a lot of money too. Actually, Bare Knuckle, they're coming out with some big paychecks too. So I think Mike's making double or triple what he was making in the UFC.
I have a friend that was champion, a welterweight champion in Boricua, Bare Knuckle Bandido. He spars sometimes with Combat 360.
Okay.
So I became aware about BKFC because of him, and I love it. I have the app and I watch
scary,
a lot of
bro.
events.
That's something I won't do. Like my wife said, no, hell no, you can't do that.
It's nasty.
It's like fighting with a knife. Like you're saying this, like you get hit, you're getting cut, bro.
Did you see the Mike Perry and Luke Rockhold fight? He broke his tooth,
his jaw, bro. Like it came out of the jaw. Like his tooth came out of the jaw. And me and Luke were friends too. So Luke, I think Luke's gonna be doing karate combat. Actually, he's gonna fight Machida, coming up next year. But yeah, bro, that's scary. Like that bare knuckle.
You're also friends with Ben Askren, right?
Yeah, Ben's one of my teammates. Yeah.
How's he?
That dude's a monster, bro. Like that's one guy. Like when I train with him, he makes me feel like a baby. Like he could do whatever he wants to me. His grip and his like. If you see him, he doesn't even look like a strong guy. But then you wrestle with him, holy shit, bro. That dude's different. Like he's a monster.
I'm gonna ask you a delicate question. After his fight with Jake Paul, I remember there's an image I'll never forget. He is practically laughing after getting KO'd horribly, and I'm watching him. Obviously, he made a huge payday.
Yeah.
But I'm watching that and saying, this guy knew all along.
I don't think so.
What do you think?
No, he didn't. Like I remember when he got that fight deal. Like, 'cause I was a boxer and I was like, yo, if you want some sparring, I can help you spar. And his words to me was, it's just a boxing match. I'll be good. And he didn't take it serious. So I'm like, man, like
he didn't look like he took it seriously.
He didn't take it serious, bro. So and then Tyron Woodley's also my teammate. So Tyron Woodley fought Jake Paul too. So it was like 2 of my teammates got knocked out by Jake Paul, which is crazy. But Jake can box. Jake Paul can actually box. Like he has the fundamentals. He has enough money to hire the right coaches, and so he can box.
What do you think about his move with the PFL and the?
I mean, I don't think he'll fight MMA. MMA is so different, bro. Like, I know he wrestled in the past, but kicking and knees and elbows, that's way different than the punches. It's like a different. It takes a long time to learn that stuff. Like, nothing that happened quick.
So how come? We're just gossiping right now.
Yeah.
Sorry. How come Nate Diaz isn't into fighting him in MMA?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be with Nate.
Huge payday,
I'm gonna be with Nate next
win.
weekend. Yeah, no, for sure. Like a big payday. I think he made $10 million for his last fight. Which is a great payday for him. I thought Nate would do way better in boxing than he did. Because Nate did box his whole career. But yeah, I'm not sure why. I think because he's the PFL. Like Nate's with the UFC still. Like I think he wants to finish his career with the UFC. If he does fight MMA, it'd be UFC. I think if it wasn't the PFL involved, maybe Nate would fight him in MMA.
Okay. you had a fight with Ferguson, right?
Tony Ferguson. Yeah.
That ended.
I broke my hand.
You broke your hand.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the broken hand?
No, that was same
Another
hand.
broken
Yeah,
hand.
this was a spin back fist. I did it and broke my hand.
I hate it. I love Tony Ferguson.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I hate it when people like dismiss him the way they are
Yeah,
doing
right.
this, like
They
from
forget
like
what he
2
just
fights
did.
ago, like
Yeah,
just
right.
retire. He's been looking good until he gets knocked out.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on his career and how it's going and his fight against Paddy Pimblett?
I think Paddy Pimblett, I think, is overrated. Hopefully he goes out there and shows what Tony Ferguson can actually do. I think when it comes to him, man, it's just time, bro. Like the more time you're in the cage, the more likely you're gonna get caught. The more likely you're gonna get put in a bad position. And I think for him, just Father Time, just undefeated, man. Like he's been in there so much. He's had so much success in his career. And all it takes is one mistake. As you see, the Mike Chandler knockout, he looked good in that fight, and just front kick right to the face. It was crazy. Just bad luck.
Yeah,
because he's good, man. Like he's talented. He's working hard. I see his training camps. It just shit happens in MMA.
He's with this guy, the crazy
Goggins.
Who?
David Goggins.
David Goggins.
Yeah.
You know what? I saw something and I was like, this is bullshit.
Nah,
but I also heard 3-hour podcast with this guy and being like, I'm gonna take a 5-mile walk. So maybe that works. Do you think he should retire?
No, hell no. Honestly, I think guys should retire when they want to retire. I hate when people say that, like, oh, you need to retire. Like, we saw what he did in his career, man. Like he had, I think it was a 12-fight win streak or some shit. When I fought him,
that long ago.
Yeah, right. So saying he should retire is crazy. Like if he wants to do it and he's still healthy enough to do these camps, like why not?
Okay, Anthony Pettis, thank you
for
coming.
Appreciate it.
We're very excited. Who do you think this weekend? Who do you have winning Pereira versus Jiri Prochazka?
Pereira, I think, bro. That dude's a monster too. I see him train like his kickboxing. He spars boxers too. Like he goes, man. Like I say Pereira for that one. I'm not betting on these fights this weekend though. Like I pulled back. Too busy.
Yeah, they're very close. Have you seen him in person?
Yes, I have. Yeah,
he's huge, right?
Monster, bro. The fact that he was making that weight class too, I'm like, bro, these guys are huge.
Okay. Yeah. Ok, gente, ponchame aquí el arte. Quiero recordarle al corillo, mañana, noviembre 11, a la 1 de la tarde en el 24 Marketplace. Esto en la avenida Chaldón, aquí en Atorrey, bien cerca de Plaza Las Américas. Si tú tienes un sueño de participar, explorar el mundo de las artes marciales mixtas, te esperamos. Ven a la 1 de la tarde, van a ver scouts de talento, va a estar Anthony Pettis allí. ¿Sabes qué? Tú mismo vas a saber en dónde está ubicado. I'm telling these guys that if you come to the tryouts, you watching, you as in the talents that go, you can become more aware where you are in the landscape by going there.
Yep.
So, vayan, cáiganle, sigan a Anthony Pettis a través de Showtime Pettis en todas las redes sociales. Do you have TikTok?
I do. Yeah, Showtime Pettis.
Do you do
I don't dance.
dances?
Nah, I don't dance.
Okay. Thank you for coming to Puerto Rico. I hope you find great talents. I hope in the next few years we have some other Puerto Rican flags other than Rob Font. And by the way, I have him winning against the 125 that's coming up at the ex-champion. Figueiredo.
That's a good fight,
Rob Font, puñeta, Rob Font. Ahí lo tienen. Los quiero y hasta la próxima. ¡Suave, corillo!